Welcome in everybody to the War and Peace Baseball Podcast. I am Ray Estrada here along with just Alex Rudy today. We're all kind of doing different things today. People enjoying their summers. Me and Uwe are in finals, but we took a little bit of time to talk about baseball. And I don't want to be like Uwe, but how are you doing, Rudy?
Pretty good. Saw a terrible Angel Yankee game last night, but past that, life is pretty good. Glad not to be in finals.
Yeah, you're a long way removed from finals at this point, but
Yeah.
I have one more, and it's pretty easy. So I'm in a good place right now. I feel good. Talk about baseball. Obviously, I did my College World Series preview video earlier today as of this recording. So if you haven't seen it, it's the last video we did on YouTube. Check it out. You see my face in it. So one of the big stories that I've seen, especially on the Twitterverse, and it seems like some people are talking about it, is the debate between over Cody Bellinger and Aaron Judge. I've seen some takes saying that Bellinger is a better long-term option. Bellinger has hit. He has 2 multi-home run games against the Indians this week, and that makes it 4 in his young career. He has the most home runs, I believe 17 since he came up, and the Dodgers have the best record in the major since he came up. So what's your take on this Bellinger versus Judge emerging debate?
I think the one thing that's hard to directly compare them is just that Judge has played, I don't know the exact number, he's definitely played a sizable amount of more games this season because Bellinger wasn't called up immediately. But even then, I can't remember the last time 2 rookies were this good in the same year, even with the incredible young talent that's come up the past 3 or 4 years, going back to 5 years when Trout first broke out, when we've just been seeing, rookie after rookie dominate. Even then, except for that Puig 2-month stretch, 3-month stretch before the All-Star game when his rookie year, I can't really think of too many more moments where guys this young with this little experience just came out on top this effectively, and let alone 2 of them. And both of them are power hitters who just absolutely crush the ball. Both of them are just really tough outs. Both of them are effective fielders. They're athletic. They're smart. They're wise beyond their years at the plate. But to be honest, to me, and you know more about Bellinger than I do, and I've been following Judge probably longer than you have. I think we've both followed our guys since they've been early in minor leagues. I would say to me, Bellinger's more of a pure hitter, but maybe that's an experienced take than Judge's kind of approach at the plate.
I kind of agree with that point there. I kind of agree to the test that Bellinger is a better long-term option. Judge does strike out a lot. That is of some concern, even with his numbers. But Trout struck out a lot in some seasons, so maybe it's not that big of a concern. Maybe he can fix that. But
and we're in a really high strikeout era where batters seems to just accept it, not really consider strikeouts any worse outs than any other form.
But compared to Judge, Bellinger isn't striking out, and I've seen people try to make comparisons. Oh, Judge has 9 opposite field home runs, and Bellinger only has 9 opposite field hits out of the infield all year. So Judge must be better. They're two possibly great players. I'm not gonna put that on them now, but just to put you on the spot, you have to sign one to a long-term contract. Who do you sign?
I would say there's 2 ways you can approach on this. How old's Bellinger? Off the top of your head? So if you're telling me who I'm going to sign to a long-term contract, I'm probably going to sign, you could either say you're going to sign Bellinger because he's 4 whole years younger and almost as good already, which is unbelievable.
Let's take age out of it.
Okay.
Let's say that they're both going to do the length of their contract. Age is an issue.
I'm biased, but you can't teach size. And,
I know.
To me, a guy like Judge we've never really seen in the modern age, a guy who seems to have this much talent, who's that big. I mean, he's one of the three biggest position players of all time, and I don't know if anyone with as talented as him. And this isn't basketball, of course, where size all that counts, but it's hard to imagine that bearing massive, unfortunate injuries, that Judge isn't for the next 5 years just a guaranteed MVP candidate every year. And I mean, I think the last guy who was kind of like this, though he's not as big, was Stanton, and the only thing that held him back was injuries. And to me, it seems really hard for a guy like that to just, to be able to be figured out. I mean, his swing is beautiful. It covers the plate great. It's short. He totally has done a great job of repositioning his knees and legs to really just drive the ball and keep compact while still using his size to cover the whole plate. Whereas I would say Bellinger is a pretty unorthodox hitting style, in my opinion, and it works right now. But if I have to choose, I'm going to take the size with the very conventional and quick, safe approach than the guy who's smaller, maybe more talented, but with a much more unorthodox plate approach.
Okay, I mean, this playing in probably into my bias too, but I mean, I could, and playing devil's advocate to you, taking Bellinger long term. Yes, his swing looks a little bit wonky, but I mean, it's a swing that works, and he kind of went through a little mini slow down. I'm not gonna call it a slump necessarily, but he's not lack of size either. He's 6'4", just a little bit skinny and lanky, but with it almost seems like two different type of athletic abilities, almost two type of, like Judge, like you compared to the Giancarlo was saying, which is a good comp just in the how solid they look. Bellinger, I mean, not saying he's up on his level, but kind of Griffey, not necessarily smooth as Griffey, but just that rotation he gets through the ball is very reminiscent of Ken Griffey Jr. But I would give a slight edge to Bellinger. I'm not saying Judge is gonna fall off. Like you said, injuries could hamper both of them, but Judge's size is impressive when it comes to hitting long home runs. But it is a bigger strike zone, and like you said, his swing does cover a lot of the strike zone, but his K rates are higher than Bellinger. But then again, who cares about strikeouts in this era?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's an impossible question, to be honest. I mean, we've been given, once again, two incredibly promising young players. And I think either way, whether you're just a casual fan, a fantasy player, or a sabermetric statistician guy, I mean, you can bet on these two guys being focal points of the league for years to come. And I think baseball really needs as many stars as possible right now. So it's good to see.
Yeah, it's a choice between Silk or Satin pretty much at this point. So with that little debate, I guess, out of the way, we'll move on to a very impressive stat. Kenley Jansen, the Dodgers closer, he got his, let me double check the number of saves that he got tonight. So far, as I look at the number, he has 45 strikeouts on the year to no walks. And I mean, that is just impressive stuff to not walk a guy as a closer through mid-June.
Yeah, I mean, he's without the most dominant relief pitcher in the game, if not just the most purely dominant guy right now. No knock to Kershaw, but just on a single inning basis, he's unhittable. And I would say he definitely gives peak Chapman, peak Kimbrel for the run of the money. Is the most impossible to hit relief pitcher since Rivera was destroying the league. I mean, he's really just evolved year after year just to become just more and more effective and dominant. And I know he took some crap for staying at the World Baseball Classic, I believe, but
he sat out
clearly
the first couple of rounds, but then he came.
Then he came in.
The Netherlands was at Dodger Stadium for the championship round. He pitched and Did
Oh,
well.
okay, that's my mistake. But clearly, just taking a couple rounds out, a couple first rounds off, and whatever other off-season training he's done has really brought him to yet another level. Which honestly, I didn't think he had in him because he'd already had been so unbelievably unhittable before. The couple seasons before this.
Yeah, I mean, his stuff. Like, he has that natural cutter like Rivera did, but it's coming from a guy who's he's 6'5", 275, coming stepping at the hitter, and it with his command throwing mid nines with that cut on it. It's I mean he's only 29. I mean, and he only has 13 saves so far this year. That's because that just shows how dominant the Dodgers offense has been. Was it last week or a couple weeks ago? They made him a little gift after the Dodgers didn't give him a save opportunity for a few days to make him feel better. But yeah, and plus just I believe it was Sunday he got his 200th save in his career already because thinking back, he's been probably about three and a half years of like solid closer for the Dodgers, like the guy for the Dodgers, and to already rack up 200 saves, he already has the Dodgers record, franchise record for saves. Um, and the thing is, I mean, about that pitch that he has, that cutter, even if his velocity falls off, we saw what Mariano did with it throughout his career. That pitch is devastating, and he's got a wicked curveball too that comes out every once in a while. So I can see him being around for a long time. I don't know how many more saves he's gonna get. He's got a long way to get to some greats, but it's in terms of stuff and just pure intimidation factor. He's probably the most feared closer in the league at this point.
Yeah, not too bad for undrafted free agent catcher.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So Jansen's good. That's the point of that. Jansen's really good. So
Without a
moving
doubt.
on, a little bit quirky news. The Cubs are having a down first half compared to their fantastic year in 2016. And Joe Madden, the quirky guy that he is, decided to mix things up to try and get the offense going. He put Anthony Rizzo in the leadoff spot, and Rizzo promptly hits a leadoff home run. Um,
I think he had
so
another today too.
I believe he hit another two. Yeah. So what do you think of Anthony Rizzo in the leadoff spot for the Cubs?
Yeah, I mean it's easy to justify it when he's hitting bombs like this, but to be honest, I don't know if I think the Cubs really do lack a pure, classic leadoff hitter. Anyways, they don't really have too many guys who hit for any higher average than Rizzo does in the first place, and he's such a great on base hitter. Overall, it's hard to justify really necessarily putting a guy over him just because he's a first baseman. It doesn't have necessarily like the speed that a classic leadoff hitter does. So Joe Madden's always on the cutting edge of unorthodox strategies, and I like this one a lot. I think more teams should definitely buy into it. I think they are because there's no reason to not, take a guy who just because 30 years ago would bat fifth or fourth in the lineup at first when he's really the most effective option. I think it actually makes sense for their team a lot. I think. I mean, they should keep it this way. I mean, considering were leading off Cal Schwarber at one point, who was hitting, like 30 points below the Mendoza line. I think it's a good move. I mean, I think, a lot of casual fans, it's hard to, it seems like a head scratcher, but, to me, I actually think he's their best option there.
Yeah, I mean, the leadoff man is definitely a changing animal in this game. Yeah, you look at the Dodgers. Chase Utley's their consistent leadoff guy. Logan Forsythe leads off. When he's in there, I think Corey Seager led off a couple weeks ago, with Grandal hitting right behind him in the two spots. So, the top of the lineup now. Your best hitters are basically 1 through 4, and put them in any order. I mean, you need to get a guy. I mean, Charlie Blackmon is exceptional this year in all categories at the top of the lineup for the Rockies in that explosive offense. So yeah, it's a good move for the Cubs, who do lack a true leadoff man. Kind of foresaw this when they lost Dexter Fowler, and we didn't expect Hayward to do anything. But I mean, Joe Madden's gonna Joe Madden, and this I would honestly expect Schwarber to lead off sometime in the near future. But if Rizzo keeps up this pace, I don't know why you take him out of the leadoff spot.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
So moving on, some more fun news in baseball. Major League Baseball announcing they're going to have what they're going to call a Players Weekend in August, the 25th through the 27th. What it is it's kind of like the NBA's. I don't know what the NBA called it, but the NBA they would have the nicknames of some players on the back of the jerseys. Like Ray Allen had his Jesus Shuttleworth. King James was on the back of some on his jersey. So they're going to be nicknames on the jerseys. They're going to be personalized patches on the jerseys. It's going to be interesting. It'll be fun to see the machine on the back of Pujols' jersey and Bringer of Rain on Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting idea. It sounds like a great time, and when all the other sports are finding, I think, new and innovative ways to be interactive with the players, and make them more media friendly. I think it's a good overall culture move and presence.
Yeah. So off the top of your head, what do you think is the best nickname in baseball right now?
Ooh. Do you have one in mind? I mean, I don't feel like we really are in an era of great nicknames, to be honest. Maybe I'm just
not
blanking.
necessarily, no. I like this. I like this simplicity of Albert Pujols is the machine, I guess. I guess for some.
To be honest, I don't really know any good nicknames in the MLB right now.
I guess Mike Trout's called the Melville Meteor or something like that. I don't know. Something like that.
I've never even heard that.
I never heard it either. I read it in the thing today. It was like, I guess he has a nickname.
I mean, I think Bryce Harper's nickname is the Douche last time I checked, but maybe that's not.
Or maybe maybe a clown question. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like all the nicknames these days are just kind of last name jokes. I mean, everyone calls, like the Judge, and some Mookie action there, but honestly, there's no Kid or A-Rod or A-Royd or the Captain. I mean, it seems like no one's really in the media under like a nickname like that.
Yeah, so transitioning to all-time nicknames, what are some nicknames that you're sad you won't be able to see because this has come too late?
I mean, the Captain, of course, to me is
for you, yeah,
the most significant one. Like I said,
Big Poppy.
Big Poppy would have been great. I don't know if Manny being Manny is really like a nickname, but I would have loved to see that.
Just see that on the back of a jersey.
Yeah.
Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt.
Yeah, exactly. I remember in those backyard baseball games, they used to always have the nicknames. Yeah. The center player is one of the best parts. Some of them were like really bad too, because you can tell they were struggling to think of a nickname for them. But
yeah,
I mean, I think Griffey, it's the Kid. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, Randy Johnson, the Machine,
Yeah.
So
maybe Kurt Schilling could have been Bloody Sock.
Or I would have maybe. I don't know if I would have gave Kurt Schilling the best nickname personally, but yeah.
No. I was thinking pitcher. And
yeah.
You said Johnson,
Roger Clemens, the
Rocket,
the cheater, maybe the Rocket. Yeah, I guess. Without a doubt.
Yeah, the Wiz, Ozzie Smith. That would have been cool to see. So, kind of, we're in the middle of some entertaining stories, certainly. So if you saw any baseball highlights from yesterday, you would have seen Puig's two middle fingers. He hit a 2-run home run at Progressive Field in Cleveland, and then after he crossed home plate, going back towards the dugout, he flipped off a couple fans who were heckling him, and he got suspended. He's appealing the suspension. He got fined and suspended for it, but he apologized, said he stooped to the level. But it was fun. I think you should be able to screw with hecklers, especially after you hit a jack.
Yeah, I mean, I get why the MLB suspended him. I mean, it's a no-doubter for them. They have to maintain their image, and in theory, you can't have your players,
Yeah.
flipping off fans. But sports increasingly have become more and more PC, and I would say in many ways that's a good thing because between sports have had a lot of dark periods between segregation and racism and just cheating scandals, betting, and other unsavory things. So I understand why we want to keep the games as clean as possible. Don't get me wrong, but it's nice to kind of see some throwback moments that take you back to when sports were just always seemed kind of more nostalgic and heated. And honestly, really before we were even alive, I think Puig's little moment is a taste of what maybe watching sports was like more like 20, 30 years ago. And I kind of liked it. I like the little, I like the emotion. I like the realness of it. It makes the game feel more genuine. I'd rather see more of that than Hunter Strickland throwing a fastball at Bryce Harper and then having the most over dramatized fight ever. Even though I do love those fights, but or 9 innings of 1-0 ball. It's nice to see the game just have those little interesting, entertaining moments like that.
Yeah, it's fun. Maybe a 1-game suspension was a little bit much for it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think he got fined too. Actually,
he got fined. I would okay with just like a fine. Most guys would never get fined for that, but I don't know. Maybe the second finger got him the suspension.
Yeah, that was the big difference right there. Exactly. That's where you cross the line. That's where they draw the line in the sand. Is the second finger. One is fine, but two.
It's like the Key and Peele sketch, the third pelvic thrust.
Yeah, exactly. Way too true. The NFL actually changed its celebration rules, but I believe
still no
the
twerking.
pelvic thrust would still be still not be accepted, unfortunately.
Still no twerking. It's like group celebrations, and you still can't dunk over the goalpost. Anyway,
yeah, I never understand that one.
That's for a whole different podcast that doesn't exist at this point.
maybe in the future.
Maybe.
Never seen.
Yeah, exactly. So transitioning to just a quick recap of the draft. Minnesota took shortstop Royce Lewis, number 1 overall from J. Sarah High School in SoCal. They didn't take Hunter Greene. Hunter Greene went number 2 to Cincinnati. And the Reds said they're going to think of him as a pitcher before, and then maybe leaving the door open for him playing the field. What do you think of what Hunter Greene could do?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really remember the last time a guy like this existed where, they hadn't been committed to, pitching 100% or being a fielder or both, and especially not drafted this high. I can't think of a single example of a guy drafted this high who, was still being considered as a position player and a pitcher. And I think it's really interesting that the MLB draft has this seemingly trend with I can't really remember the last time either that the first pick was considered the first pick by talent. Increasingly now, the team with the first overall pick selects a guy who's 3 or 4 picks, projected below that, so they can get extra money to sign later rounds, which I think is just it's really, I have no problem with it, but when you really think about it, it's like just bizarre and unlike no other sport where teams intentionally, pick in some ways a worse guy, even though it could turn out just if not better, to you take a risk taking more talent. The whole signing bonuses and guys being able to sign out to sign about baseball is just such an extra intricacy. Plus the fact that you won't see some of these guys for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the number one pick, he's kind of a guy you're thinking you're going to see in no more than 2 years. So maybe it's more of a fit thing, more so than like in football and basketball, you can say, okay, we're going to get the best guy that's available, and he's going to help our team no matter what. But in baseball, you can't really do that because there you might have an all-star at that spot, and you can't draft a shortstop, so you can draft a top end pitcher. But yeah, Hunter Greene is. I we've seen two-way players before who've got drafted pretty decently high, but we haven't seen guys who throw 102, who hit as well as he does and play the field as well as he does up the middle. So I think that's why he's so exceptional. I have concern for his arm as always. A 17-year-old throwing 102 is not something, and throwing hard sliders and breaking balls and stuff. Is not promising. Let's see how he performs.
I mean, do
you
think we'll ever see a player make it to the majors still not dedicated to pitching or being a position player? Do you think we'll ever see, like, could this be the beginning of players who can actually just really do it all and not be Travis Wood, playing an inning of left field then coming into relief? I mean, this could be groundbreaking. He's a really long way to go, but this could be the beginning of a new type of baseball player.
Yeah, I think it's tough for a guy who's going to be coming up through a system. You look at Japan, Shohei Ohtani, basically the Japanese Babe Ruth. He is playing two-way, and with the reason why he's not as big a talk now is because when MLB signed a new CBA, they took away a lot of available money to sign international players. So that's why his talks have gone down. But he's doing two-way successfully at the professional level in Japan. So I think he could be a more groundbreaking guy than Hunter Greene once Ohtani gets over here. But who knows? Greene could succeed at going both ways, but I feel like with the way the major leagues is, even minor leagues, the seasons are too long to have a guy play two ways. You need a pitcher needs his rest on his arm, even if he's going to play second or first. I don't think you can stretch a guy two ways throughout the year.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's just I think it's a fun idea to kind of wish about and think about. It's tantalizing to imagine, just like the NFL player who can play offense or defense, or even guys like Bo Jackson who could play two sports professionally. Seeing a guy who could be a little leaguer but in the major leagues and just be the star all over is fun to imagine. The other thing that really struck me about the draft is how much Southern California and California in general just dominates baseball. It really is striking if you just look between colleges and prep schools and just normal high schools and community colleges, everything. The amount of guys drafted from California is like immense. It is truly, I feel like, the hotbed of talent right now. I mean, Texas and Florida, don't get me wrong, almost, if not just as impressive, but since we're SoCal guys, I really took a look, and it just seemed like every single school in our area had a guy drafted to a degree.
Yeah, and it's nice too. Like, even though it might be in later rounds, you'll see guys like, hey, I know that guy, and he got drafted.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, it's definitely cool. And then another guy, Brandon McKay was another guy, Louisville, another two-way player. I believe he plays first base, but I think the Rays said they were gonna. I mean, obviously, you gotta wait and see because he's in the College World Series with Louisville right now. He went fourth to the Rays, but he was touted as a guy who could go number one over Greene as a more experienced two-way player. But we'll wait and see on that one what the Rays want to do with him. So that does it for the stories that we have so far. It's kind of an abbreviated story list because we're doing this late, and I mean, we all got stuff going on. So, but we're gonna take a quick look at some key matchups of the weekend. Maybe give you some fantasy help. This is where maybe quick fantasy help comes in. So the first one we'll look at the Nationals visit the Mets. It seems like we've seen this a lot as of late. But I mean, it's just one of those matchups that every time it pops up, it always draws attention.
Yeah, I got one word for you: runs,
Yeah.
runs. There are going to be a lot. I mean, I don't know if Scherzer and Strasburg are pitching this series, but regardless, I would not start your Mets pitchers, even if you though if you have been anyways. I mean, you probably already know that even healthy Wheeler and DeGrom have been struggling as of late, and at the same time, these two offenses are on fire. The Mets actually have, the third best offense in the league, in the National League, I think, which I found really surprising considering how poor they've been this year, which is just to show you how truly awful their supposed strength their pitching has been. And of course, the Nationals are arguably the best overall offense in the league. So, your hitters, if you own hitters on either team, they're probably going to go to town. And I don't think Citi Field is supposed to be a hitter's park, but it sure feels like it this year. This feels like there's been a home run there almost every day, even though I'm sure there hasn't. But,
Yeah.
I feel like almost every team just goes there and rakes the ball.
Yeah, Scherzer's pitching Friday he's facing off against everybody's favorite pitcher, TBD. Then Strasburg against TBD, and then
Wow.
where is it there? TBD versus TBD on Sunday.
What an exciting
Yeah,
group.
that's a riveting matchup. But Harvey just pitched and got absolutely destroyed with tired arm. Apparently, we're not going to talk about him. Past that, we'll just say, I don't think there's much left in the Dark Knight.
Yeah, too much clubbing has taken its toll, it seems like.
Yeah, good. If he was better, that'd be one nickname to get excited for that player.
Hell yeah, I could not agree. It's one of the best ones I think in the league, honestly.
But it's one you gotta live up to.
It's being in New York and then taking that nickname on, you better live up to it, or you're gonna feel the pressure without a doubt.
Yeah. Another big one. Two heavyweights. Boston. The Red Sox will be visiting the top placed Astros. Astros on top of everything at this point. For I believe it's a 3-game set. There'll be the Sunday night game on ESPN. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, this might be. Yeah, you got some good pitchers on both sides, but I think both, in theory, but both of them, except for Sale, have had a lot of injuries and a lot of disappointing seasons. And I think McCullers and Keuchel are both.
Keuchel.
I think both still out. Keuchel might be back, but I think.
Keuchel, I think, is still. McCullers just won the DL, so he's
gone.
Keuchel is a little more concerning because there was more to the neck injury than they initially thought. But McCullers,
really?
Nothing. I haven't heard anything extra.
Right.
So maybe 2 starts for Keuchel, but that's as
I
far
believe.
as I know.
I believe, excluding the also hurt Eduardo Rodriguez, no pitcher on the Red Sox has been especially impressive this year. I could be wrong. It's I think I said him briefly before, but can't. Yeah, part of me was implying it, and part of me I just totally forgot to mention it. But yeah, of course, obviously Chris Sale is arguably the best pitcher in baseball this year. No disrespect to Kershaw. Excluding that, these are two very talented offenses. The Astros, especially, have just been raking the ball ever since they heated up. So I would, once again, like you just said when we started this, kind of treat this the same way. If you have pitchers, be pretty careful, and if you have the hitters, expect a great weekend because there's gonna be a lot of runs scored.
Yeah, so the matchups, Friday is Pomeranz versus Flyers. Saturday is Porcello versus Paulino, who has an 0-0 record for the Astros. And then Sunday, again, TBD versus TBD. Quick note:
the classic rivalry.
The Nationals-Mets series is a 4-game series. It starts Thursday tonight when you'll be listening to this. Hopefully, when it comes out. So that will be it's Gio Gonzalez versus, I don't know how you say his name. Is the G silent? Is it Selman? Have you seen that name?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I never heard his name pronounced. I'm not sure. I assume it has
I
to be
assume it's
silent though.
Selman.
There's no way it could be. I mean, I guess anything's possible with baseball names, but I just find that would be extra shocking.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure it has it. Oh, he's from Santa Monica. Selman is. He went to Westchester High School, but how do they not have the pronunciation on MLB.com? I assume it's Selman. It's the only way
Yeah,
it
it
can
has to be.
be.
I would hope so, at least.
Yeah, and so to our last weekend preview, I probably maybe shouldn't have closed on this one, but the Cubs, the Pirates.
Brutal.
It came down for the third one to talk about. It came down between this and the St. Louis Baltimore series. So that shows you not a whole lot of fantastic baseball going on this weekend, unless you're interested in the Padres at the Brewers. I don't know if
Oh my
there's
God, that's dreadful. For the Brewers, I guess, have been fairly surprising this year, but
If you want to see an absolute rout, you can see the Giants travel to Colorado this weekend.
wow, that's gonna be. I mean, that's gonna be a lot of runs scored by the Rockies, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So Cubs at Pittsburgh. Cubs, they're always an intrigue because it seems like they keep spinning their wheels. It looks like they might really rise up and start to take control and look like the Cubs of last year, and then they sputter again. And right now they're on the uptick. Rizzo is providing a spark at the top of the lineup. He's hitting well. Maybe it should carry into a good weekend in Pittsburgh, hostile territory. Rivalry ones are always fun, but I mean, what would you look for, like, guys to keep an eye on in this series?
I mean, obviously, like you said, Rizzo. I think Bryant's really due to really start heating up at this point in the season. So maybe look out for him to do something. I think McCutcheon's been heating up lately. So maybe he's having a bounce back here, maybe not. I think just to have a small tangent. Do you hit the panic button at all with the Cubs yet, or you still have plenty of patience left? Because I mean, it's about a third way through the season, right? And they're still nothing more than average overall. So,
Yeah,
I mean, for the defending World Series team, I think we all, we all expected a little bit of regression, I think. But what's really shocked me is a lot of the young guys really have not stepped up, which I think everyone was counting on.
Yeah, I don't push the panic button simply because of this. They're 32-33, but they're like 2 games out in the division behind the Brewers.
Right, they're lucky they play in a god embarrassment to the baseball division.
The Central is really bad this year, and it's been it was shaping up a year to where it would be a true 3-horse race: Cubs, Pirates, and Cardinals, and you had the Reds kind of coming on the upswing with their rebuild, and Milwaukee on the backside of their rebuild. It was looking to be maybe they're all beating up on each other. I don't know, but they haven't looked impressive. St. Louis certainly. St. Louis, I thought, would actually surprise and really retake the division this year with like the Fowler signing. I think when they signed Cecil, I thought they would. They had rotation concerns, but I didn't expect them to be 30-34 at this point in the season.
Yeah. I mean, I think if anything, the rotation's been the best part of the team, honestly.
Exactly.
So far. It's been fairly effective. The offense just has not really shown up. They've had some injuries here and there, but they definitely missed that marquee guy to kind of build upon offensively. And I think, like you said, the Brewers and the Reds were surprisingly well as they've done this year. They're rebuilding. Can't expect them to really be contenders. And the Pirates, the ownership doesn't really have any interest, it seems like, in spending money to win. And they were always a team that was never extremely talented, and they never really bought any veterans to keep the team going. While the prospects came through, and all those prospects like Talon have had, or Josh Bell have either had very unfortunate injuries and issues off the field, or just disappointing, or sort of much taste suspension, or sudden decline. I mean, nothing. Garrett Cole never really putting it all together. Nothing's really gone right for them the past 12 months. They look like they're set for another very, very long rebuild like they've had before this recent stretch of I mean, it's success for them, but honestly, they didn't really accomplish anything
It
with
was a
this
bunch of
team,
wild card
unfortunately.
losses.
Yeah,
uh,
sadly.
so yeah, I mean,
Good for the Cubs. They don't have anything to really compete against, luckily.
yeah, I mean that's why I'm not hitting the panic button, even though they are a game below 500. I expected them to regress more than most people thought they would regress, but I didn't think they were going to go this far. In terms of pitching
Yeah, I agree. I
matchups,
wasn't.
yeah. You want to finish your
No,
thought there,
go ahead.
and then we'll go to.
I, I was just gonna say I wasn't. I think most of the people who were kind of like uh, diehard baseball fans were all kind of saying, you know, yes, this team was historic, but it just doesn't all add up for them to repeat. Um, but I agree with you 100%. I didn't think it would be this drastic, and I'm really disappointed in Russell, Bays, and um,
Baez, you mean?
yeah, Spias, sorry, Schwarber, not really stepping up and to the next level from last year, and then Almora and Hap haven't, been standout spectacular, though they all haven't had as much time. I think Contreras is doing pretty well. He's really good defensively. I'm not sure how exactly what his bat has been. They're really missing a young arm, it seems like to me, more than anything.
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, they brought in Lester to be that ace, and Lester's on the backside of his career. He's still a quality pitcher, but Arrieta didn't last. Hendricks hasn't lasted. So the arm is what is what's missing. The back end of the bullpen is of some concern as well. Um, this question's popped in my head. Would you say that this year is so much different because they've won a World Series now?
Yeah, it's like they haven't. I mean, they have no pressure, and the expectations are just, uh, not as big. But it seems illogical because if anything, you would think, breaking that streak, with that team kind of rising to the casual fan out of nowhere, that I think the people like us and closer followers could have, we saw it coming with all their
Yeah,
prospects and good front office and coaching hires. I think people really should be talking about more how disappointing of a team that the year this is. This is coming off of one of the most historical seasons in sports history, not even baseball history. They were both by far the best team in baseball, and they fucking broke, the
yeah,
biggest championship drought ever, and uh, they were dominant. And you, you know, I don't think this is a year where there's all these incredible teams. The Astros are really stinking good, but even then their rotation's shaky. And after that, you have a Yankees team that's just hitting and pitching at way beyond its talent.
in a
They're-
monster AL East.
yeah, and I mean that division's just stacked. In AL West we have three very good teams, but to be honest, I would say only the Dodgers seem to really have the talent for any run, and they've just
Yeah,
have a host of minor issues. I would say and then you have the always prevalent Nationals who you can never expect to win anything. So, and then the AL Central, I don't even understand what's going on. The Indians should be doing way better, and I don't know why the Twins are winning any games. I guess Urban Santana just is a I don't know what I don't even know, and good for
Miguel
Barrios.
Sano is hitting.
Yeah, but it's not like a year where you have like so many juggernauts. To be honest, I mean, the door is wide open for the World Series, in my opinion. Um, I just there seems to be a lot of parity this year. I guess really, there's very few horrible teams, even though there's three or four pretty bad ones, and there's very few great teams. There's a lot of mediocrity. It seems like.
Yeah, and I mean, because we're talking about how the Cubs are disappointing. It's not like there's another team. It's not like the Cardinals have jumped up, or the Pirates have jumped up past them. You're like, okay, that's why the Cubs haven't been doing this year, because the Cardinals and Pirates are so much better than them. All those teams are below 500, so it's like, I mean, it that makes it even the more perplexing. Quick rundown of the pitching matchup for this series. On Friday, it is Butler versus Williams. Cubs pitcher going first, because most people probably don't know how to distinguish which name is which. Saturday is Arrieta against Nova. That'll be an interesting match to watch. Definitely one to keep
That'll
an eye
either
on.
be a really, really high scoring game or a complete like pitcher's duel. I'm not sure
Yeah.
which.
And then Sunday, it is John Lackey versus Jameson Tyone. I would, I, I would invest in Pirates offense in that game.
Yeah, definitely fair point there.
So that just about does it for this week's podcast. If you liked it, let us know. If there were some things we could fix, let us know. We really appreciate feedback. Tweet us at WPB_podcast. Find us on Facebook, War and Peace Baseball. Email us, War and Peace Baseball at gmail.com. Leave comments in YouTube. I don't know if there's comments in iTunes. Just let us know feedback. iTunes WPB_podcast if you're not there. YouTube War and Peace if you're not there. SoundCloud, always figuring that stuff out. I'm
Facebook, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Email, fax.
Most social media. Yeah, if
carrier pigeon, you got it all.
Yeah, message in a bottle. Hopefully we find it.
We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it. And yeah, other stuff going around. Check out my cultural series preview. That's kind of a new thing that I'm trying out. Maybe all the other guys will try more of a one-on-one type thing, shorter content on YouTube. Interesting. Check it out if you like it. Let me know because I definitely want to keep doing more of those, and I would want to do even more if you guys like it. So thanks for joining me today, Rudy, and as always,
peace.
Oh shit, I was not ready to stop recording.